Good day, everyone. Welcome to Apparel Training. My name is Rex Eddywater, and today we're going to be covering retail lecture for PT Academic, of course, Pearson's PT Academic, the skills and strategies to hopefully help you overcome some of the problems you've been having. Today, then, if you look, we're going to walk through step by step to take a look at some of the key features that are there. Remember as well, if you do see this video and you have further questions, please do feel free to give us a call here at 6558-0340 for any kind of inquiries about classes or any other kind of problems you may be having. So let's take a look at what we have for retail lecture today. As we can see, retail lecture is one of the parts of speaking, unlike the other phases, such as read aloud and or describe an image, where no pictures are given, say interactive pictures. They do, however, give you a picture to look at. A lot of people tend to ignore the picture, but I would strongly suggest that you look at it. Because as we can see from the picture, if by chance as you're listening you miss the idea, the picture can give you a general idea as far as what the content of the lecture is about. So from the picture, try to predict what the main topic could be about. Again, you're not given much time, you're only given about 3 seconds to take a look and to think. But at least this should be sufficient time to give you a general idea as far as what to expect. Now, one of the key things of anything related to PTE, academic listening, is note-taking skills. So do use the erasable notebook given in the electronic pen in order to take notes. Remember, when you're taking notes, there's no way to write everything, and you shouldn't attempt to write full sentences. Just try to focus on the key words, those being your nouns, your verbs, and your adjectives. In a way, if that's confusing, because there's still quite a lot to listen for, break it down into your WH questions. Your WH questions, of course, are your who, your what, your when, your why, and your where. Those, of course, create a main idea of something. In addition, you're able to listen for some examples and things as well. So to put it more succinctly, focus on key words. Writing quickly is a key as well, so you can use abbreviation and or symbols as well. As it shows, you can use for a, and, and the. You can use e.g., for example, as well. Or even arrows, I say, like an arrow pointing up for increase, an arrow pointing down for decrease. Any things like that can help. Also, you want to make sure to listen for keywords including names, numbers, dates, times, and word phrases that are stressed and or repeated. Because usually if things are repeated, they're emphasizing for you the importance of being able to do this. Now, many people get stressed as they don't catch, or they feel they don't catch enough of the key words and or details. Remember, the kind of words and or ideas you catch, number one, the most important thing is, of course, to catch the main idea of the talk. So, for example, if they say something about, today's lecture is about the 3 ways of creating a successful website, well, we definitely want to try to get the idea of creating a website down. However, this will be followed by maybe 3 or 4 more supporting details. It's actually not essential to hear every single detail. And to be honest, as we're going to look at, you might not have time to cover every single detail as well. So let's talk a little bit more about that too then, as far as what to listen for and how to phrase it. Okay. So when we're focusing on understanding the main idea of the lecture and getting the key points, then usually they're going to have a conclusion as well. But as we said, we might not get to that, but just so you know the purpose, and I should say more of the organization of what you expect to hear. So it's like writing a body paragraph. You have an intro, supporting ideas, concluding statement. Okay? Also, as you're listening, try to listen to their basic attitude. Do they agree? Do they disagree? Are they strongly for? Are they strongly against this? In other words, the tone should indicate these kind of things. Remember then, after it finishes, you don't start speaking right away. You have 10 seconds to organize your thoughts and ideas before you start speaking. Now, this is the key thing. Remember, you only have 40 seconds once you hear the tone to begin speaking. To go back to the scoring then, remember that you are getting points, partial credit in 2 different areas, these being speaking and listening, because you are doing speaking and listening. So you're actually getting 20 points for speaking, but 20 points for listening. So this is a very vital skill as far as that goes. Because of that, one of the key factors whenever you're doing speaking in the PT is your oral fluency and pronunciation. So remember, oral fluency pronunciation is always one of the key factors to focus on. Therefore, don't rush your answers or try to speak as you're thinking. In a sense, you have to go back a step and think and then talk. And when you think, you have to try to think in complete sentences. Therefore, we're going to provide for you on the next slide some of the key expressions that you can try to use when you're talking in order to help you to focus more on your oral fluency and pronunciation. So when you start, if you use, again, these can be revised and or changed as you go through, but in general, we can start with an expression such as, the lecture provides brief information about, and then as I said, maybe we say, the lecture provides brief information about the 3 key steps to create a successful website. Okay? Then we want to follow that with 2 or 3 more sentences in a concluding sentence. As you can see, the sentences that we create in this model are short and to the point. The reason being is that we want to be able to say them using oral fluency and pronunciation. Remember, the longer your sentences become by using more complex grammar, the more you have to try to focus on your oral fluency and pronunciation, which can become staggered and or broken as your sentences become longer because you require more time to pause and think about what you want to say. Therefore, we prefer the module here, but remember, this can be revised as well. Our second sentence then would be something to the effect, he or she starts off with explaining, and then this is followed again just by, say, 6 to 7 other key words. Maybe he starts off with explaining the importance of making sure your website is accessible by the majority of people. Then we pause. During this pause, remember, you can only pause for 3 seconds before the microphone turns off. So it is important to think about the pausing, but use the pausing to your advantage because then we have to think of the next sentence. Then we can say, remember, don't say he or she because would it be if it's a man, she would be if it's a woman. So we know from the lecture whether it's he or she, although we put he or she to represent male or female, okay? Explains and or talks about the importance when doing this to focus on a particular concept, okay? We can add this by the lecture also mentions, and then we'd add another supporting detail. Remember, as I said before, if that's all you heard, let's say I didn't even get to EG2, all I would do is after EG1, he or she explains about, then all I would do is click the next button. Remember, it's more essential to speak fluently with correct pronunciation than it is to speak in a rush manner and have jagged speeching, which is not considered smooth pronunciation or smooth execution of sentences. So whether we get to EG2, EG3, or even the conclusion is irrelevant. The key thing is how we're saying the answers as well. So remember, even though I'm going through the whole sample, you might not get to the end of the sample because it all depends on your oral fluency and pronunciation as well. So assuming that we got to the last part, then we could say, in conclusion, we can say that, and this is sort of a summary of the whole thing. So we can say, we might be able to say, if we use the example I talked about with creating a website, in conclusion, we can say that creating a website is not that difficult as long as the following steps are executed in the correct manner, or something to that effect. Again, just keep it short and to the point. Remember, as I said, if you ever lose your train of thought, don't remain silent because the mic turns off. Therefore, if you lose your train of thought and or feel that what you're going to say next doesn't make sense, it's better to hit the next button and end your answer. Remember as well, when your time is getting down to the end, being 5 seconds or less, it is important to watch the timer in the sense that you don't want to be cut off by the computer. Because if it cuts you off mid-sentence, such as I'm saying, so when you do this, and it cuts me off, the computer senses that as a fragment sentence, and that reduces your grammar score. So always watch the timer so that you end your sentences with a full sentence and not a fragmented sentence in the middle. And that just takes occasionally looking at the timer to see how much time you have left to think as well. So remember, to sort of summarize what we just talked about, you want to make sure then overall that you understand what you need to do in Retell Lecture. It's important to take good notes. It's important to base your notes on the key ideas, those being the WH question. Use the picture as a main clue to get an idea of what you're expected to listen to. After you hear the beep, use our provided sentences at the top in order to create sentences that are easily said and easily produced as far as meeting your oral fluency and pronunciation. I hope today helped to solve some of the mysteries and or problems that you've been having with your Retell Lecture. And we look forward to any other kind of questions or any concerns you may have. So once again, we're here at Apparel Trading. We have a full range of courses, both day and night, in addition to private tutoring available. So please do give us a call. If you're out of Perth, it's 08. If you're out of Australia, it's 61. And then 6558 0340. My name is Rex Sadewater, and it's been my pleasure helping you today here at Apparel Training. Thank you very much, and we look forward to you tuning in again.